Paul Daner, Mark Shalafu, from listener questions to some running gags. Insider stories, ambush live, that dad life and respect for flags. Kick off the weekend, alright? It's the Growler Friday Show, it's Who Dey Light.
Another episode of Who Dey Light. I am Mark Shalafu, joined as always by Paul Daner Jr. Paul, what flag you flying today?
Today I have the Cincinnati flag. I'm just here for the city. Although it needs to soon be switched to our Elsa Frozen flag for let it snow.
A little bit of snow,
little snow, little burst of snow, just at the wrong time taking the kids to school this morning. But I appreciate a little snow, and the cold air that's going to be here for a while just feels like it's time to go Elsa. Probably
it's a Reds
soon.
Fest weekend. No Reds flag. Like, what are you doing there? Just city
You're
of
right.
Cincinnati.
You're right. I know. I mean, look, it's just been up all week. I haven't really gotten to it. Okay. I feel like there's a couple different ways to go. Maybe I could go Reds Fest. I like to celebrate the cold with the Frozen flag, though. That's all.
Yeah. When everyone's miserable, you either have Frozen or City of Cincinnati. Those are your two options.
Those are the two options.
With somebody with a robust flag collection, you need to beef up your winter side of things.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But here we are, another week of Who Dey Light, and it's starting to get lighter. That's what I like. You know, we still have a few newsier things to get to, a few important topics, some good questions from the Growl Pals. As always, keep sending those to thegrowlerpodcast at gmail.com. And quick shout out to all the Growl Pals that have donated to the GoFundMe that we've got going for Jay. That's still pinned on our social media. So if you haven't sent him a few bucks or sent him a note, you can do that to the email or to the link on our Twitter.
Yeah, I got the QR code up here in the corner. If you're watching on YouTube, you can just go there to thegrowlerpodcast.com. There's a banner right across the top to donate. I mean, the thing is up. It's like chasing towards 30 grand right now. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, Mark. Like the support that's out there for Jay, it's just really cool. Thank you to everybody that has done it. I know it means a lot.
Yeah, I know that he definitely sees that, feels that. And, it's nice seeing the messages that people have been writing and sending to him. You know, all that stuff is important. And, we will have him back with us here at some point. All right.
I mean, imagine how many Arby's gift cards he can buy now. I mean, this is going to be, I think he could probably buy the Hamilton Arby's at this point.
That's what I was going to say. Let's get him a franchise. Let's just make this a drive to get him an Arby's. And then we'll kind of do like a spin-off podcast where it's like Cheers. And he's just kind of like the guy running the Arby's, the neighborhood Arby's. Everybody comes in and hangs out. You've got your Hamilton characters on there. It'll be a good little spin-off.
I mean, it's got to be better than whatever the Trey Hendrickson off-season show is that's on Amazon Prime now.
I did see that. I did not anticipate watching that, but
no,
I saw that was happening.
Can't believe that exists, but good for him. Yeah, go check that out. If anybody has any reviews, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it, but somebody please do that and tell us how it is.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that we can make fun of on that, send it our way, of course. Big weekend of football. Bengals aren't part of it. Now, Paul, let me ask you this point in the season, are you just burned out on football since you've been doing, 4 episodes a week? You've been covering the team. Team season is done. You have a little bit of a breather before really important stuff happens. Are you just shunning everything football now?
No, this is my favorite weekend of the year. This is the best football weekend of the year. The divisional weekend now, and then you throw in a national championship onto the back end. Like this, it's when the weekend where you get the wild card winners, the bye teams are there playing. Like this is the best. The right to go to the AFC and NFC championship on the line. Like everything about this weekend is great. I get burnt out by the stuff during the week. I always like the games. The games are great when you extract the rest of it from the work week. The games are always great. I always love going in on Sundays. Those are fine. So I never get burnt out by that. And I'm definitely not burnt out this weekend, which is going to be awesome. And the majority of what I liked before the playoffs is still playing itself out. I liked the Rams.
Did some bets last week. Yeah, you were cooking.
It did cook last week a little bit. Yeah.
The
So
Rams,
Bills,
Patriots, you were on fire.
I'm still tracking Bills Texans for the AFC Championship, which was kind of where I started with the futures that I put out for people last week. I still like that. Houston, Buffalo still feels good. Houston, New England, like I would go. I don't know what the first half under is, but I'd do under 13. And I know it's probably 20 or something like that. Like I love the first half under in that game, and I still love Houston. I think it was interesting how Drake May kind of struggled a little bit. Now it's a good Chargers defense, but this Texans defense is going to be the same. They're going to come in with all kinds of momentum and energy, and that stuff travels. And so I'm curious to see what that looks like. The New England offense against that Houston defense is going to be fun. But I love all things under and a Houston cover on that one.
First half alternate under of 13 might be a little extreme. That might be a little extreme.
You know what? You open up the BetMGM app and you'll be stunned the stuff you can find when you start digging through. Dig hard enough and you'll find it. But yeah,
do you think Stroud's going to turn the ball over 4 times again? Or,
concerning, certainly. But I think that it's the one thing about Houston that you worry about is everything that Stroud was doing against the Steelers. But I still think he's solid enough to get them by, and that defense can do it. The other one is I love Seattle to make it to the Super Bowl because I just don't think teams are going to go in there and win. But I'm stunned that the Niners number is +7. I mean, that's Niners getting 7 in Seattle. That just seems like way too big for me. I know they lost by 10 in Week 18, but they were missing Trent Williams in that game. There was that weird interception off Christian McCaffrey's hands near the goal line, like that. Both games, Seattle has scored 13 points against the Niners that they've played this year. I don't see it being high scoring. I think it stays close. Like all those NFC West games are close. That feels like it's going to look like a lot of games looked last weekend. They're just down to the end. So I like Niners to cover the 7. I think Seattle wins. And then the under on that, it's 44.5. That just feels like, I know there's been plenty of games where both those teams have scored this year, but when they've played each other, when they've kind of played good defenses, this feels like a slug it out team that knows you too well. Long drives, all that stuff that happens when these two teams get together. So I love the under and a Niners cover on that. But that's kind of my gut. And then Rams Bears is going to be a shootout. That's the games that the Rams play. The Bears have played some shootouts this year. I can't believe how cold it's going to be there, though. That's going to be fascinating. Looks like it's gonna be single degrees.
Oof. That'll be fun to watch.
How do they handle? How does Matt Stafford and the Ivory Tower SoFi Stadium and LA Rams handle single degrees, maybe some snow in Chicago?
Yeah. Honestly, San Francisco getting 7, that does seem a little over the top just because of how close all of those games were last weekend. Even like the Texans-Pittsburgh game, like that was still 7-6 at the start of the fourth quarter. It wasn't like a blowout until, the rest of that quarter. But most of these games are close, so getting 7 points there is not a terrible play. Yeah. I would have trouble going against our Seahawks now that we are riding them all the way.
We're officially riding, yeah. I mean, I'm not going against them. I think they win. I just think it's definitely going to be a close game.
Yeah. But, it'll be fun to watch. And I'm going to be on my BetMGM app. I was cooking yesterday. I hit some NBA stuff, a random soccer parlay, just stuff to get me by at this point. So now I've got some money to throw behind our bets this weekend.
I don't know if you should be admitting random soccer parlays into microphones right now. It feels like that's a red flag.
I think you have to take credit for any winning bet that you have. Anytime you look like a genius, you trot that out. You don't show anybody your losses. You keep those close to the vest.
That's not like a year where I had an unbelievable run in the women's NCAA tournament. I still don't know what was going on that year. It was like I just kept it was Caitlin Clark was in it, and like I just kept betting Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And next thing I knew, like I had like made a killing.
I mean, that's a little astonishing. I was betting soccer because nothing else was happening at 2 p.m. on a weekday. During women's college basketball, there's other things that are happening. There's other college basketball games. I think I've bet on one women's college basketball game in my life. It was a live bet, and I didn't realize they played quarters. I thought it was halves. So I'm like, hey, this score's pretty close. It's the second half, and this is the spread. I'm going to take that. And so I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, well, tough lessons. Tough lessons.
Not a ton of like super newsy Bengals things this week. I've got a couple questions that I want to ask you. I know you've got some things to talk about. The biggest thing for me, I've got two. One is a little less important probably. But the The Dalton Risner thing is still like, I kind of want to get a little bit of your insight on that, just because I know we talked about that on this show with Mo a week or two ago about how that's the easiest move for Duke Tobin. That's the layup, right? Like that's, you do take care of that position with that move. Your offense is set. That whole side of the ball is set to run it back. So why, and he's expressed an interest in staying here pretty vocally. He can't be that expensive. Why hasn't this happened already? And when do you expect it to happen?
Because deadlines do deals, and the deadline will basically be the start of free agency on that. Now,
so we're going to go all the way there?
Maybe. I mean, that what you see is some deals get done right away, like that can happen. But I mean, he can't sign with another team until you get to the new league year in March. Now, a lot of these conversations with your own players, with other teams' players, they go down at the combine at the end of February when everybody's kind of together. Some of that stuff happens there. It can happen earlier. But you usually end up, and the Bengals specifically usually end up getting to the point of, okay, finding the compromise and getting the deal done, going right up to it. They have traditionally, when they have signed some of their own guys before free agency starts, gotten it done right at the beginning or even into free agency during that week. So I would anticipate this will be like that. It'll probably get up and go right up until free agency starts if he's going to sign. Otherwise, he becomes a free agent. I mean, that's when it forces the Bengals to just make their move and put it out there. It would be great if they could do it tomorrow, but there's really not much pushing them right now to do it tomorrow, and just instead they just will probably end up waiting till it gets a little closer to free agency.
It just seems like an easy way to give the fans a win, show something.
Fans, as long as the fans get the win, it doesn't have to. Why does it have to be? Why do they need to win today?
Because I'm sad. I'm sad with how things went. They're not playing this weekend, and I wish they were. And it would be nice to at least be like, hey, look at them being proactive, getting Risner locked up. Now we're good to go. I don't even have to worry about, Jalen Rivers or Lucas Patrick or what their plan is. At that
let it play out. Let it play out. Save your sadness for another day. There's plenty of time to be sad in March.
What is the number for Dalton Risner? That is a question that we got a couple weeks ago in the email inbox that we had to sort of sideline a little bit because of all the Duke Tobin stuff. What do you think it'll cost to get him back?
It's a good question to see where it lands. I mean, he signed with the Bengals for essentially the league minimum this year. He's never made more than 3 and change in his career. He did play well. There is a desire to get it done. So what does that look like? He's in his 30s. It's not like he's a young guy. He's on the older end. But I would think it's probably somewhere in the 3 to 4 per year range, probably like 2 years, 7 or 8, some sort of, compromise on one side or the other with something on structure to make it feel right for both sides. That's probably where it ends. I mean, how much better was he than his entire career where he hasn't, where is he now all of a sudden a $5 million a year player? There can be a market for that. It's also the one thing I've been in the sheets this week. In the mock off season next week. So this week there's a reason I haven't had a ton of content up. It's because I've been like killing myself behind the scenes trying to put the sheets together, and you're trying to put values on almost everyone in the league that could be available, including Bengals players. And there are so many guards. Like there are a ton of Dalton Risners, if you will, that are available. Okay. Good. Now Dalton played well here, and as a pass protector, specifically in true pass sets, which the Bengals do a lot, he was really good. Like there's no denying that he wasn't good, but there are a lot of guards. And so I don't know that there's going to be some huge guard market driving price up where you'll see that with some other positions this year. That's defensive huge. Tackle. There's not a lot of great at defensive tackle in free agency, in the draft. So you'll see the couple of people that are considered potential game changers are probably going to get paid more than you would think, or that they maybe are even worse just because of the timing. Linebacker is like guard. There's tons of linebackers, right? Like, so you get into these different positions and it can drive up or down the price. And I think guard is one of those where I don't see it becoming some bustling guard market because there's just a lot of them that are available in free agency that have played okay.
Dalton Risner had one of his best seasons. Amarius Mims played well this year. The offensive line as a whole looked pretty solid, maybe the best unit that Joe Burrow's played with. How much credit does Scott Peters get for that after this season? That was another question that we got.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I think he should get a lot of credit. I mean, he
would get blame if they stunk.
It did not start well.
Right.
I mean, let's be clear about that. I mean, early on, there was a lot of like, what the hell's going on with Scott Peters happening in last season? But as it went on, and by the end, you had a room where I would argue everybody played better outside of Orlando, probably didn't play quite as well this year as he has in previous, just by the numbers. But Fairchild got better significantly. Karras played his same level. Risner played some of the best of his career. Mims played some of the best of his career. Jalen Rivers came along and wasn't awful despite being a 5th round pick that switched positions and everything. Like, there's a lot of good that happened in there, and they were a really tight group. I mean, they really seem to get along and have great chemistry. That's on the line coach as well. So yeah, he gets a lot of credit. You are what you are in terms of what the players did on and off the field, and that group was good. So I think for right now, you have to say that Scott Peters you have to give credit, because we would be crushing them if they sucked. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, people love to talk about the offensive line coach. That's always been a big sticking point for people. Yeah. And so, now that the season went well, you kind of forget about that. It's like, oh, maybe he did do his job. Good for him.
Yeah, good
for
him.
The other thing that I've been thinking about this week was just seeing the picture of some of the players in Vegas celebrating at the end of the season. And what I liked about that, it seemed like a weird grouping to me. Like, you had Joe, you had Jamar, Orlando Brown, Gesicki was there. And then the picture that really warmed my heart was that Joe Flacco was out there with the guys. Finally, at this point, what a nice end for the Joe Flacco saga, is somebody's willing to eat dinner with him. Finally.
Congratulations, Joe. You know what? You know what though? I think any Vegas trip, like, sometimes you need a break from everybody and everything that's happening. I could see Joe being the type that's like, hey, there's a really nice restaurant down the strip. I was, oh yeah, when are we going to go? He's like, nah, I got a reservation. I'm going by myself. I need to get away from you guys. The rest of his crew, he's 41 now. The rest of his crew is all in their 20s. He's like, look, I just need a break. I'm going to go eat down at, Guy Fieri's. I don't know who and by myself
to get a better chef pull, like a Wolfgang Puck or something.
Wolfgang Puck. There we go. That's who I was looking for.
Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense for Joe to eat that sad meal alone. But hey, he's got friends again now, which is important in the development of his social life.
Yeah.
I don't know. The picture that I saw was just like of them at a table, and I don't know if I'm down with that. If I'm like a bunch of pro athletes, I'm doing the private dealer thing that the rich people do. I'm not out there with the riffraff. I'm doing, playing high stakes just with my own guy, right? Like, that's got to be the play.
Yeah, you would have thought that somebody who is a purchaser of rare fossils might have been like, hey, let's spring for the private room on this one. But no, maybe they like just being out there mixing it up with the real ones. Maybe that's just their style. They want to feel like every man.
Yeah.
And so do it. I don't know. Would if you were like, you're a Knicks guy, right? If you were in Vegas just with your friends, and you saw, Cat and Jalen Brunson and like a bunch of Knicks players, and maybe even some former players, maybe Oak's there, maybe Charles Oakley's there. Do you go up and approach? Do you say something, or are you just like hey, there they are, that's cool?
Yeah, do a head nod, maybe a let's go Knicks, something like that. Just I'm not going to go harass them. Probably won't even, ask for a picture or anything like that, any of the annoying fan stuff. But you do, it is cool. I'm not saying it's not cool from the fan side of things. It's awesome to see those dudes going around. You don't want regular people watching you if you're not good at gambling. If they see you like split like sixes against the king or something like that, and you take it on.
That'd be great if they got exposed for being like doing
bad
terrible things, or just how like poor form, like in terms of how they were betting the craps game, not knowing how to play it correctly or whatever.
I wonder what kind
or
of a
playing roulette at all.
Yeah, roulette's always a bad move, especially since they've got that 000 now. I think too, like, I wonder what kind of a gambler Joe Burrow is. If he's like watching guys throw down 20 grand on a hand, he's like, oh my gosh, that's a T-Rex tooth right there that you're throwing away. He just calculates all of it.
Maybe they do that. Like, instead of taking out a marker, like shows up with a giant tusk and sets it down on the table. Like, how about I'm playing for this?
We're not leaving until we've won enough money to build this whole thing back together. We're going to get this whole mastodon and then take it out at this casino.
I love it. I love it.
What have you been paying attention to this week? Outside of your sheets?
Really, the sheets. Like, that has been the focus of my entire week is trying to get
people love the
ready.
Sheets. They love them.
I love the sheet. I love having the mock-off season sheet ready to go. And so we're really close. I finished out all the values on everybody and have the whole thing compiled. I now just need to write about what everything I did and found out. And I got to get it all cleaned up. I might have some new additions this year to make it even spicier, which I'm excited about. But yeah, mock-off season is on deck thanks to everything I was able to do. So I spent a lot of time doing that. But I did just come across some random things. And it's like you go through the year and then you get out of it and you kind of forget things you were talking about earlier in the season and this popped up this week. And every week we used to be reminded of how just unbelievable the Bengals defensive futility stats were. Like, it was just great. And then, down the stretch, it's like, okay, they're doing better. They pulled out of the cellar in a bunch of categories, and that was an improvement. And there was a lot of talk about that. And then something that like this showed up on my feed this week. And this was just the missed tackle percentage for the season.
Oh, no.
Look at how far out the bar goes for the Bengals. They're at 13%, 32nd, obviously, in the NFL. And you have Washington there at like just over, like, what is that, 10.4, 10.1%? I mean, they're almost as far out from the 31st team as the 31st team is to like the 10th.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable when you see something. You're just reminded of how bad. And this is after they were so much better the second after the bye. Like, it's just those reminders that just pop up on you every once in a while. Like, oh yeah, let's not forget.
They broke the chart.
They
had to make that a much bigger chart because of how much wider that gap was. Like, that's, really squashes some of my optimism. All right, like maybe these linebackers are figuring things out. Maybe the defense starting in a pretty good place.
Well, let me tell you, like, as I went through the sheets on linebacker and safety, I did a lot of looking through the free agents at missed tackle percentage on both of those guys. Like, whoever's replacing Geno Stone or starting at linebacker, and there's a bunch of options there. I don't want to see another player that has 15% missed tackle rate for their career like Geno Stone or what Barrett Carter was posting the majority of the season.
They were really tough to watch. Also, I mean, looking at that linebacker position, the fall off of Logan Wilson, I didn't quite see that coming to the degree that it happened too.
Significant.
Nothing good happening at that position on the whole.
It's funny, you know how wide open the defense is. I'm doing the sheets. Most years I put in names into the spots where they're set. Like, the guy who's the starter is there. He's under contract. There's no decisions to be made with them. So like on the offensive side of the ball, I've got Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Dylan Fairchild, Ted Karras. And really I could have had Orlando Brown and Amari Mims, but I just left a couple of options in case people want to get crazy in there. But that's a lot of names that's set, right? Like, no decisions at all. The defense, every single one just says select with a drop-down menu, okay? Every single spot requires a decision or a change or maybe a new player. I could have put Jordan Battle. That's about as close as I got to having somebody that would be maybe kind of set because he looks like he's going to be the starter. But there's decisions everywhere. You have potentially a DJ Turner extension, potentially a Dax Hill extension. Those guys would have been set, but there's decisions to be made there. So you've got it's fun this year. Defense is a absolute clean slate in every way imaginable.
Yeah, which is good and scary at the same time.
Yes, also very scary. There's no doubt about that. So in the sheets, good times. Really enjoyed it this week.
So we have a few questions to get to before we do. Just a couple of quick things to mention. Quick shout out to our guy Eric Stanio, who's with us all season. It's funny because like some of these realtors you see these days just are like hopeless. They're sending you emails and they're telling you about like their biking trip and trying to seem like real people. It's like, I don't need this. Tell me how you're going to sell a house or help me buy a house. I don't need your personal story and your, recovery path after your divorce or anything like that. Just tell me how you're going to make me money on my house. Eric Stanio's that guy.
Yeah. And he'll tell you where the urinal goes.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
If you really have a strong take on urinals, he'll set you straight. Yeah. He'll break it down for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to our dude who was with us all season. If you know anybody buying or selling a house, hit him up. That was a free plug, by the way.
Yeah, it's because he's our guy. Teamstanyo.com. Go there to connect, and info@teamstanyo.com is the email.
Free plug because we're between seasons at this point. So we still have a lot of great partners. Stanio's not dying. He's not like going away from us. Like he's still part of the squad. But if you are a Growl Pal with a business, you want to be an advertiser on the show, this is your time to jump in. You can send an email to thegrowlerpodcast@gmail.com. We've got all levels available. And, there's even maybe the possibility of doing something with us and with Power Stacks.
Yeah.
That's starting to fire up. The excitement around baseball season with Reds Fest. And then soon we'll be into spring training. And, they just added some more help to the bullpen and cleared up some salary to probably get that bat they've been chasing, hopefully.
That's what Charlie says. So these are the kind of nuggets that you'll know when you listen to the next episode of Power Stacks coming out soon. So right. Charlie's like ready to go. He's going to spend like a month and a half in Arizona, it sounds like. So he's going to be out there just full of Reds nuggets all the time for Stacks. So Stacks is taking off, man. It's going to be a great year. Yeah. So if anybody wants to partner with Stacks as an add-on connected to the Growler, our free agency and draft coverage is massive. And so we got big stuff in the plans this year. So if you want to be part of it in any way, just hit us up, thegrowlerpodcast@gmail.com.
And just a good crew of people that worked with us this season.
Awesome crew.
We enjoyed seeing them at the live shows and some of the events that we did, just like good people all around. That's what we are aiming for with the sponsors of these shows, or people that we like, people that are already in our community, not just, faceless corporations, although we will take their money too, if they want to throw it our way. But a lot of these people with businesses that have sponsored on the show, they're regular Bengals fans. They're regular listeners of the podcast, and that's what we like.
I'm excited. We got our end of year wrap party with all of our hosts and partners and everything coming up. You doing the party in the VIP room at MGM, which is awesome. So
it's a cool space.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. It's gonna be fun. I see you're wearing your Growler quarter zip.
I am.
Hi,
repping.
That's it, man. The inner circle, living the QZ life. It's great. You got to live it.
Just like all the kids, man. The QZ is where it's at.
Where it's at. Absolutely.
Let's get into a few questions here.
Sure.
Our first one we're going to start with. He is an OU and Moeller grad. And he said
what a great place to start.
I know we need defensive improvements ASAP, but does using the number 10 draft pick on a defensive player, putting another rookie into a major starting role, repeat the mistakes of this season? It feels weird even saying this, but should they use the number 10 pick and or our second round pick on an offensive lineman or another position that won't have to start this year and then fill in the defense with just veteran free agents? He said, UC basketball is not very good this year. That's understatement. That's right there. So y'all are my only sports hope until the fall. That's from Patrick.
No Reds? I mean,
I know. Yeah. Get on
there. There's hope.
A little baseball.
There's hope. I mean, the Dodgers are going to win it all, but you could make it to the, to the National League Championship. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, Dodgers
either way. I'll say this. Dane has a new mock draft that actually just came out this week, and so I was kind of parsing through that again. It's very similar-ish to what we've seen. Although he had a decent drop for Peter Woods, which I was not anticipating, all the way down to 19, who's kind of viewed as the premier defensive tackle, sort of the 3 technique that you love to get for this team. They're just hard to find.
And there's no good
time
free
you're
agents.
up at 10, you're like, okay, maybe I can get him. But he hasn't. So that's going to be an interesting study.
Why do you have him slide?
It's
there's not good defensive tackle free agents.
He was really good for 2 years, and then this past year he fell off a little bit. And I think there's going to be discussion as to why that was, and maybe he feels like he heard something that he felt like he was going to slide. We'll dive more into those specific cases once we get to the combine and start getting in more into draft stuff. But I mean, ideally, at 10. I think you're open to whatever. You're taking the best player available. You would love for that to be defense, and it sets up to likely be defense. I mean, Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Caleb Downs, Ruben Bain. These are all names that you love and would feel good about. And then, Woods maybe is in that mix too. Like, one of those probably makes it to you. Dante Moore, the quarterback for Oregon, is going to go back to school, so that hurts. That's one less player that bumps down, so that could be the difference between a Caleb Downs and no Caleb Downs, or Ruben Bain and no Ruben Bain. He had Bain making it to him. So, ideally it comes from that collection, because you want a pass rusher, like, by any means necessary. An elite pass rusher, they're hard to find, they're expensive. Getting them on a rookie deal, like, I don't have a problem having that guy in the mix. A top 10 type player to me is a little different than a Shamar Stewart, like, who's a project and he was further back for a reason. I think you can count on a top 10 guy to come in and play and have less of the rookie mistakes, even in a down year for the top 10. Like, if you gave any of those guys, Reese, Bailey, Downs, Bailey, I think you're comfortable with those guys coming up and playing as rookies. Now, tackle is in play. I just been saying this. I think offensive tackle, one of their first 3 picks should be an offensive tackle. Now, whatever they are, in an ideal world, it's like a guy who maybe was kind of a first round or talent, but has some developing to do in the background, who goes in round 2 to you at 41, like, that sits behind Orlando Brown for a year, and maybe if he has to play, he's a 2nd round pick, he could play. Like, that's probably that's getting a little, you're parsing pretty deep right at that point. But yeah, offensive tackle. I mean, I wouldn't think it's crazy if they took one at 10. If he's the best player on the board and you can lock down a left tackle, the future, maybe it gives you depth immediately. There's no shame in that necessarily. But yeah, I think Premier D, when you know what this team is that'd be a smart play.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing is, like, you need another starting level player on that defense.
You need a star. I mean, you're at the top 10. You want to get the best player. Like, I just think you want the best player that you could possibly get when you're this high. You're only going to be this high so many times. This should be a true, don't feel pigeonholed by anything outside of, like, look, I'm probably not going to add one of these receivers. Like, I know there's people like James that always are looking for weapons receivers, no matter who's here. And it's fine. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
And the danger of adding, a top 10 receiver alongside of Higgins and Chase. I get it. I just think there's plenty of premier players, but I'm just taking the best guy. I'm not super concerned about position. If that position is tackle and there's some of these guys that are up there, that's just as in play as any of the pass rushers.
I know a lot of people are hyped on, like, Caleb Downs but Ohio State, the thing, I don't watch a ton of their games, but all I keep hearing is they've got the next Micah Parsons on their team. They've got a great defensive tackle. Caleb Downs is the best safety that's ever lived. Their quarterback was a Heisman finalist. They have Jeremiah Smith, who's the greatest wide receiver and they still got bounced in the 1st round. That concerns me a little bit for having all of these NFL stars already on that team. But
yeah. And Bengals, and I don't know how much that impact that will have, but, like, the Bengals personnel department does like to lean into guys that play big in big games. They feel like they want guys that are going to step up when it matters. They feel like they're going to be in the playoffs, which, they haven't been. But, you want guys that play big when it gets bright. And so that has mattered in the past. It does matter now. And, like, a player like Ruben Bain, he has 23 pressures in 3 playoff games. He's been just a total disruptor. He's a great player. He was PFF's top graded player for both teams in the last game. That stuff matters. That's all I'm saying. Like that stuff does impact rankings, can break ties, things like that, because there's certain personality types they want to have. They want to have guys that step up when the games are big.
We'll dip into the draft, of course, a ton in the coming weeks and months. But this next question is a little bit related to the draft as well. He says, good morning. I admit I haven't listened to the most recent episode of the pod yet. You should probably change that. Get on top of it. His excuse is that he is a 16-month-old and works overnight. Listen to it at work. That's what I would say. But he said he did read the free agency preview article. You mentioned the Bengals getting a third-round comp pick back when Trey leaves. Do you think securing as high of a comp pick as possible will factor into the offseason decisions while pursuing other free agents? Or will they say, F them comp picks and actually sign some help?
Yeah, that's the interesting part of letting Hendrickson walk, and we'll get into this decision as we go through the coming months here, and it closes in on the franchise tag deadline, is the tag and trade idea with Trey. So comp picks, just in general for background, comp picks are based on how many free agents you gained or lost the previous offseason. If you lost more than you gained, and these are strictly not guys you cut, guys whose contracts expire and they sign with another team. Those are all ranked and pitted against each other. And if you say you lost 3 guys and only signed 1, you're going to gain 2 comp picks. And the level of those picks is determined by how much money. There's a very non-transparent formula, but Nick Corte from Over the Cap is the comp pick god. He's unbelievable. He nails it every single year in who's going to get what. The Bengals don't have any comp picks coming this year. But so this coming off season, this March, what they do will then be a 2027 comp pick. So Trey Hendrickson theoretically is going to land a contract as big as anybody in free agency. So assuming the Bengals lose more than they sign themselves in free agency, they would get what will probably be a 3rd round comp pick. But yeah, you're right. They have to lose more than they sign. It can restrict how many you sign. So if you think you're going to sign in free agency, and if you trade Trey, if you tag and trade Trey, you can trade him for a current year pick instead of having to wait a year. So there's more value in that. Obviously, I don't know that they're going to get much more than a 3rd rounder for him, considering it's a tag and trade. We've seen these over the years. Your value is down. Your leverage is down because people know that they're not going to want to pay Trey Hendrickson a franchise tag. So they kind of you're not going to get as much as you would in a different scenario. But either way, they could basically have a 3rd round comp pick in 2027. If they let him walk. They kind of did this with Jesse Bates a couple years when they did Bates on the tag, and then eventually he walked and signed that big contract with Atlanta. They got a 3rd round comp pick that turned into McKinley Jackson. It's part of the equation. It's not going to drive everything, though. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do in terms of wanting to do tag and trade or just not bother with that, because it can be a little hairy and complicated. But they would want to execute that before free agency started again. So here we go again. But we'll dive more into that as we go in the coming weeks.
Yeah, something interesting to watch there. That's a good point. I don't think that you needed to add the whole fact that the Jesse Bates comp pick was McKinley Jackson. I could have done without that part of the answer. I didn't need to be reminded of that. That's a huge bummer. Our next question here, he says, Mark and Paul, which scenario would make you scream no the loudest? Number 1, Bengals tag Hendrickson, and then he promptly says he'd rather snorkel in the Ohio River than play for the Bengals again. Geno Stone agrees to another pay cut, and the Bengals sign him to a 2-year contract, citing the need for continuity. Or number 3, the Bengals do next to nothing in free agency and explain they need to save cap space to extend DJ, Dax, and Chase Brown, but end up extending only Brown. And which do you think is the most likely scenario? So which makes you scream no the loudest, and which do you think is most likely?
I mean, the tagging.
I can see them bringing Geno Stone back as a backup. I could see that maybe before I see tagging Trey Hendrickson intending to keep him on your defense.
Yeah, I don't see them tagging Trey with an intention to keep. I don't know how. I mean, that would make me yell no the loudest from a personal.
I'm done. I'm done with Trays of Our Lives.
I'm done with Trays of Our Lives. I deleted this. I deleted the Trays of Our Lives image, like the photo. I don't plan on rolling that out anymore. Maybe I need to keep it. So that would probably make me yell no the loudest. I don't see maybe if Geno comes back as a backup. I did leave that percentage at 15%. It's certainly possible to come back as a backup. So maybe that's the most likely. I don't see them doing nothing in free agency. Yes, I think they'll have interest in doing extensions. This feels like Dax gets done this year and maybe DJ spills over to next year because they could franchise tag DJ Turner next year. But Dax is entering the 5th-year option. I don't think he's going to be as expensive as DJ Turner. They probably want to see another healthy season that looks like last year out of DJ Turner. So I could see that factoring into. We've seen them go down this road before. Second round picks.
Yep.
Right. And there's been but with T and Jesse, very successful second round picks. There have been some that they have been able to sign. Joe Mixon, they were able to sign. There's a decent line of these. Some Tyler Boyd, Sam Hubbard was a third. Day 2 picks that have been successful. Some they've been able to get in. Some that were much better though. That crossed over that sort of B plus player, like Jesse and like T, did turn contentious, did drag out a little bit more, did have franchise tags involved. So DJ has done that. So do they make him play it out? That's a question that we'll be digging into in August, probably a decent amount. But I would say it's more likely that Dax signs. I don't think Chase Brown signs. Somebody out of those 3 is probably going to be franchise tagged in 2027.
Although,
like I have a feeling that that's where those 3 guys go.
Yeah, I just looking at this question again in the 3 options. Can we get better questions? This is just bumming me out now, kind of like the McKinley Jackson, Jesse Bates thing.
Doesn't have to be the darkest timeline.
Terrible things do you like
Maybe
most?
they sign all 3 and have a big free agency. It can be done.
And bring back Geno Stone and bring back Trey Hendrickson. Just all of those things happen.
Have to do all those things.
I do like this question. He says, hey, Paul and Mark, love the pod. Hated the season. I understand that. I'm fresh off watching the Texans destroy the Steelers on Monday night. Left me with a few questions. Is talent actually required for a team to play with physicality and violence? And is a truly physical, violent defense even possible in the Zac Taylor era? Even in the seasons when the Bengals made deep playoff runs, I wouldn't describe their defense as violent or overly physical. Their identity is more about playing smart, keeping everything in front, and relying on bend but don't break discipline. I get that the Texans defense has more raw talent than the Bengals, but I don't think physicality or violence is a talent problem. It's a mindset. The real question is whether Zac Taylor can instill that mentality in his defense. And he also asked if I was at Ohio U in 2009 when the school closed for the first time due to snow in 30 years. He said, it was a glorious day. I woke up, found out school was closed, and we all met at the bars, spur of the moment house parties, epic snowball fights with strangers. I hate saying this, but that day really was a movie. That's from Tyler. I had missed the snow day at OU by a year and change. We had just left in 2008. So, I didn't get to enjoy the spontaneity of one of those days. But, we had plenty during my time in Athens of days where we were messing around with strangers and meeting up in the bars and blowing off classes.
Yeah, we had a big snow day one time. I very vividly remember people like skiing down the hill on Mill Street in front of my house. So it's been 03, I think right in there somewhere, winter of 03 would have probably been one that I remember being. I thought we actually got off school for that. Maybe it was a weekend. I'm not sure, but I know that it was insane.
There were some days I gave myself off for snow.
Yes,
I was like, it's a snow day. Sorry. See you guys later. What do you think about physicality and violence?
I have a thought on this. So Houston, if you look into some of their tendencies and schematics, they are the simplest defense in football. They do the fewest amount of like exotic stuff. It's rush for, it's everybody sits back and they don't really try to trick you. They are just aggressive, fast, play with confidence because they know what they're doing. They know what they're seeing. They've done it a million times. It allows them to play physically. I think there is something to that. When you're playing a bunch of, one, not great players, two, young players, they aren't confident in everything they're doing. You saw that early in the year. And I think you saw a team that played with more violence later in the year because it felt like they played. Confidence and violence, I think, kind of go hand in hand, especially if you draft players that have that in their mentality. Also, I think defensive line breeds violence. Like, a disruptive defensive line, pass rushers bring violence. That is where when you see teams doing that, it causes quarterbacks to throw into off script, off timing. That allows linebackers to have opportunities to make big hits. It allows all those things to come into play. The defensive line, to me, sets the violence factor. And if you don't have just game-wrecking pass rush, you're not going to look as violent. The Houston Texans have game-wrecking pass rush, and they just got to bring four to do it. Like, Myles Murphy all of a sudden looked like a violent player in the second half of the season. People wondered if he'd ever look like that in his life. But he had more confidence. He started to build on that. He looked like he was playing faster, more violence. That's great. I think you need the pass rush to bring that and confidence to bring that out of everybody. I think that's the idea. It doesn't have to be exotic, doesn't have to be talent. I do think it has to be confidence and understanding exactly what you're trying to do. There's nothing wrong with being simple to do that.
We do have a fun ambush question here.
Okay.
Just to kind of wrap up some of the Duke Tobin stuff. We're not going to talk about Duke all offseason here, but a lot of people were interested in this. And he says that Paul mentioned he's had off-the-record conversations with Duke while grabbing drinks. Is any of these instances, has Paul ever said something to Duke along the lines of, hey, you do know the team is never going to win a championship the way the current operations are, right? That seems like sort of an insane question you would ask. But he says, does Duke acknowledge that or have much hubris, or do they only discuss pushing P propaganda? He says, JK on that. It was a well-written piece. I think a better way to frame this question is, like, if you're having those off-the-record conversations, are you injecting opinions into that, or are you just using them for context or background, or what's your approach to, like, the off-the-record stuff?
It's more curiosity. It's relationship building. It's not about, those conversations are not, I can't imagine being like, you're never going to win that way. Like, it's not.
That seems like an adversarial approach to be like, hey,
no,
you're the idiot.
It's like, I don't know. No, it's not like that. If that's what you're asking, any conversation you're having is just for me is not based. It's the Ted Lasso. Be curious, not judgmental. Like, that is really the basis of all of what we're doing, whether on or off the record. And I think it's based out of curiosity. I always just want to understand. Yeah, there's times where I will be like stating my opinion. I'll be like, and I'll say why. And I know for a fact that they don't care about being ripped or questioned or anything, as long as they feel like it's fairly substantiated and comes from a fair place. Like, I think there's an understanding of where all of this comes from. There's nothing wrong with being questioned or criticized or anything, as long as it is fair and informed. I think that's usually where the conversation is based in. It's my opinions aren't just like me stating something out of nowhere. It's explaining, I see it as X, Y, Z. Do you see it different? Why do you see it maybe this way? And then they have the explanation and you talk about it. Like, it's just a conversation. It's like anything you would have any other place. So it's certainly not accusatory. It's just all based out of, I just am curious and just want to understand why things are the way that they are. And then you take all of the information that you have on, off the record, different people, whatever. And that's how the stories come out with that, or have my opinion or columns or whatever on the way that things are. And that makes it fair, in my opinion. how those have gone.
One of the things that I think would be really useful in those situations is just like, if you're going to, those people can be a lot freer off the record, and they probably have their own opinions about how things are going or the reactions to things. But it's like, here as a reporter, here's how I'm seeing it. Am I wrong here? Or, give me some other context to it. That feels like a smart, you're not going to publish what they say, obviously, but that's a better way to use those than to be like, hey, you're an idiot, right? You know that what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah. Or it's like, man, fans are really
right
mad about whatever, about safety, about the handling of this. And like, that is part of any conversation you would have. And then there's they shouldn't, or they should be, or that didn't go this way, or whatever. Like,
the answers are different off the record. Growl Pals know this if they came to our live shows and asked off the record questions of us.
Yeah.
We got a little freer, a little looser with some of the things we said.
True.
Behind closed doors. So we appreciate all the questions we got this week to thegrowlerpodcast@gmail.com. Keep sending those along. We have a Growl Pal Spotlight this week. Are you ready for this one?
I am.
All right. He says, I'm a longtime listener and proud Growl Pal, and I wanted to run a community idea by you guys. He is the founder of Free Throws for Kids, a Cincinnati-based nonprofit that hosts an annual charity free throw shooting event to support families at Cincinnati Children's Hospital and the Ronald McDonald House. The event has raised over $1.6 million during its existence over the last 12 years, and the 2026 event is March 21st at Lakota West High School. It's 100% volunteer run, so nobody on the board gets paid a dime. Every dollar raised goes straight to helping kids and families. He says, we're currently trying to add 27 more teams to reach our goal, and he thought it'd be fun to have a Growl Pal team. He said that he could set it up as captain, or somebody else could be captain. I think he's already set up our team, and you can get the details at ftfk.org, and we'll put some of that on our social too. So I think we do get some Growl Pals out there to shoot some free throws and raise some money.
Yeah, and support a great cause. I mean, this is awesome. Do you think Growl Pals are good free throw shooters?
I think they're excellent free throw shooters. I don't understand, I guess, this part of the charity. Do you have to make the free throws for this to raise money for the kids? Are the kids just like heckling you every time you airball a free throw because it's less money for them?
I like that idea. Do you remember the NBA All-Star game where they had there was two children's charities that each side was playing for, and they had them standing behind the baskets while they played. And so you had to have the losing kids charity. You had to sit there and take it right in the face when they lost. I like the idea of that. Sorry, I couldn't make enough free throws, so you can't be saved. No, I think this is awesome. I love it. Here's what I think we should do, because I agree. I think Growl Pals have good fundamentals. I think they are practice free throws in the driveway types of people. That's what I think. That's who our Growl Pals are. Whoever makes the most free throws or the best percentage on Team Growl Pal feels very Graders worthy to me.
That does.
That feels like the most Graders worthy thing that we could have right now, outside of the guy who delivered the pole to my house in a snowstorm for the Festivus episode.
Which was also huge. Maybe he can also shoot free throws.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, show up there and shoot some free throws. But I will say, I'm willing to say, whoever makes the highest percentage of free throws on Team Growl Pal at this event will get the Grader shipper delivered to their front door with their 6 pints of their choosing from our good friends at Graders. Ship it right to you. It's the most Graders worthy thing. I love this idea. Connect in the community. Let's do it. Get out there, Team Growl Pal.
Now, I can't say specifically that I will be at the event. I haven't looked at the spring touring schedule yet, but we do need some Growl Pals to carry the flag for us there and really represent. I also do appreciate the name of the charity, Free Throws for Kids. It just really tells you what it is. And that's what I like, the simplicity. Because sometimes you get these charities that are like the Johnson House. And it's like, yeah, we're raising money for the Johnson House. And you're like, what's wrong with the Johnsons? Did they have something? You're like, no, they do like tutoring and this. And it's just real complicated explanations. Free Throws for Kids. That's very simple, easy to understand. So let's get practicing and make sure that the Growl Pals are well represented. We don't want to lose face to like another podcast or media group that gets there. So please sign up to represent our team and make some free throws for us.
I like it. It could be, that's sort of like the old George Costanza, the human fund, money for people.
That's right.
It's one of my favorites from the Festivus episode.
We have no meth raccoon story of the week, but we do have another weird story that popped up on your radar this week.
I do. I want to make sure this gets some love. And that is, I don't know did you hear about the International Arena League coming to Cincinnati? Did you know
I heard about it about 45 minutes ago when you told me right before we started recording. So that was where I learned the news. I'm very shocked.
There is a team. I saw it come across the news last night. They must have done some sort of promotion or whatever, but their website is up. It's the Cincinnati Slingers. They're going to play at the great historic venue of Heritage Bank Arena,
the home of failed franchises.
Now, I love arena football. I covered arena football for a number of years in my early days, and I have an affinity for the sport. I think it's fun. So I have a soft spot in my heart for it. But then the problem with arena football is you need to have some level of legitimacy, and I'm sure there's going to be some legitimacy to this. But when you have this, a generic submission form, if you want to play on your website, literally to join as a player or coach, just submit your name and your email in a generic submission on the Cincinnati Slingers website. And you just click the button, whether you want to be a player or a coach. And there you could be playing. They're actually holding open tryouts. Like just, hey, anyone off the street can come play. It doesn't really suggest that you're going to love the legitimacy of this International Arena League if you're just saying, like, yelling out the front door of Heritage Bank Arena, anybody want to play quarterback, right? Like a generic submission form was a little much for me.
I like that it's player or coach. They're out there. It's like you're looking for season ticket buyers, and it's like, you want season tickets, or would you like to be the coach of the team? Sideline passes the whole time. I love it. I hope it would be a great content event for them, just to capture all of the tryout stuff and who's good, who's just, their best years are probably a decade behind them, but it'll be fun to see that sort of thing take place. That might be more fun than some of the games. Honestly, it's just, they should let people buy tickets to watch the open tryouts and see who here in Cincinnati can really represent the Slingers.
Yeah, I might go and say I want to be a coach just if that can get me into the open tryout to watch everybody. That feels like a highly entertaining day.
I feel like we should send Charlie to go coach because he doesn't have enough on his plate. I feel like throw a fedora on him. He can go be a historic Arena League coach, good evaluator of talent.
Yeah, and, general manager.
Yeah. Oh, that would be
de facto.
better.
He'd be the de facto general manager of the Cincinnati Slingers. I like that.
We'll get a lot of podcast content out of it about how the Slingers are too cheap to hire an official GM, so Charlie's got to do multiple roles. We'll get some real leverage out of that. It would be great if if we have any football playing Growl Pals, I want to go make the team. That'd be fun. We'll get some updates from you about how the season's going.
If any Growl Pal tries out and makes the team, you also will be graders worthy. There's just a lot of.
Did you hear that, Growl Pals? Your salary will get doubled. Your salary for the season gets doubled.
They might actually pay you in graders shippers there. I'm not totally sure how that goes down. I know what the Arena Football League 2 that I used to cover paid, and it was not enough for any of these guys to live on. So if I can't imagine what this would be, this certainly, and you better get that in cash is all I'm going to say. I don't like credit in this league.
I do like the story, though. Quick stand-up comedy plugs as we start to wind things down. I am going to be in Columbus, Indiana tonight on Friday the 16th. Then I'm going to be in Tampa Bay from the 22nd through 24th. Des Moines, Iowa, Funny Bone, January 30th and 31st. And coming to Nateland Live at Zany's in Nashville on February 2nd. And then in the spring, I'm going to Syracuse, St. Paul, Minnesota, Asheville, and Charleston, South Carolina. So a lot of fun dates on the website. Go check it out, markshalafu.com.
Asheville and Charleston, great cities.
Especially in the spring. There'll be good times to be out there. I love both of those cities, and I've done them a bunch.
Love it. Awesome. Make sure you go check out Mark. What do you got going for Dad Life?
So for Dad Life, one thing that's been bugging me lately is just seeing so many complaints from like older people about how coddled kids are these days, because they're like, oh, when we were kids, we played outside in the woods all day. And like, it was so dangerous and cool and stuff. And I feel like, first off, that's not entirely true, because millennials, I remember being a kid and there were very long Nintendo 64 gaming sessions, playing college football on Sega, all of that stuff, a lot of GoldenEye. So we got our gaming time in too. But honestly, the woods are online these days. Like, that's where the woods are. This is way more dangerous for kids. They've got it way harder. They don't have to worry about creeps just in their zip code. All the creeps are trying to get at these kids online through Roblox and different chatting apps and things like that. It's way more dangerous for them. Back in the day, you only had to worry about your friends making fun of you and ruining your mental health. Now anybody can attack you on social media or get into your head and, get into some mean texting chains and stuff like that. So they've got way more to worry about. And I don't know that coddled is necessarily the best way to approach that, but I do understand it. I get the olds. Like, that's just such a classic hacky old person thing to do. Oh, in my day, it was so much better. It's like, no, it wasn't. You're just trotting out the same thing as everybody else. And it's actually much more dangerous for them to be online than it was for you to be in the woods behind your house.
Yeah. I mean, the next generation has been getting soft since the beginning of time.
That's so true.
That is like, just their kids these days are soft, right? That's just what we're supposed to say. Like, when I'm now in my mid 40s, I'm supposed to think that teenagers are soft and didn't have it as hard as I did, because they didn't, because things do get better. Right. But I think that it's definitely fair to say that it is much harder to be a tween or teen these days than it ever was for us.
Absolutely.
It's brutal out there. I'm just very, very happy. I thank goodness every day that I did not come up in a world where cell phones were able to record the things I was doing or saying or making mistakes, because that would not have been pretty.
I'm just dreading just having teenage daughters, and we're getting right up against it with 12, 10, and 6. But it's like all that dating, driving, puberty, all that stuff, it just mixes together, phones, and it just doesn't seem all that exciting. I wanted to stay in these easier years that we have right now, where everybody still gets along and they still like me. Yes.
Speaking of the easier years, my dad life is what I enjoy, with my kids being 8 and 6, and we went over to a friend's house on Saturday for some of the games and hung out and ate. And the kids, they have kids that are all very similar age. Our old neighbors used to play. They like to play together. And so they'll just be, it's like one of those where all the kids are just on the other side of the house. You don't know what they're doing. And every once in a while you get dragged into whatever it is they're doing. It happens on accident. Next thing you know, you get grabbed and like you're in the middle of their game and you can't get out. This happened to me the other day, but you don't know what I just love the unknown with kids that age of like, literally anything could happen when you get dragged into one of these games. The other day I get dragged in and they are all in, they found some sort of super dress up clothes. I mean, it was like they were going to the Oscars or something. They're all dressed up. There were umbrellas involved and dresses and everybody's all dressed up nice. And they said they needed to take me to a special room. And I'm thinking, ooh, a special room. What? I mean, VIP room? Like this, you guys are all dressed up. It must be nice. They take me down there and they say, okay, stay right here. We have to wait for Mario. Now there was a 5-year-old boy who was playing with them, who I hadn't seen. I just assumed he was doing something else rather than the girls' games. And eventually Mario comes downstairs, and they had taken me into a room for me to get beat up by Mario. Mario was the heavy. He came in all MMA gear, and he was right. And he literally just attacks me and starts beating me up. And I'm like, what kind of game are you playing where you just took me into a back room to get beat up by a goon? Like, this is the game that we're playing. Where are you learning this game? You never know. Just when you think like these girls are being so sweet, there could always be a Mario waiting around the corner. And I was stuck in that room with Mario for a long time. I really couldn't get out.
It sounds like a mafia thing where it's like, hey, come on, let's go. We're just going to go for a drive. And you pull up and then, oh, there's Mario. And you kind of understand the situation then. Why were you stuck for a long time? I feel like you could take Mario in 2 rounds tops.
So I could. Well, shiver. All 4 of them were blocking me from leaving the room.
Oh, so you'd have to take the
while
girls
Mario
down?
Was beating me up, and I didn't want to fight back too hard, But no, they were just kind of locking me in, so I was stuck. Right? They had me stuck there, and then they took me to another room and they tied me up onto a couch. It was a whole thing. You don't want to leave.
That would never happen.
It makes it worse.
I'm very skilled at fighting children, and that's something I'm proud about. It's like,
what's your secret?
I think it takes a lot of effort, but you've got to make sure they don't get hurt and you don't get hurt. But outside of that, you can go pretty hard. And I feel like I'm pretty good at that, about picking them up, knowing how to throw them on the couch without them getting really hurt, how to trip them up, put them on the ground, get away from them, that sort of thing, with making sure nobody, like my nephews aren't running up to their mom crying or anything like that. It's an art for sure, fighting children. And I'm sure Mario was intimidating, but if there's a round 2 with Mario, I do expect you to fare a little bit better.
Well, it was the initial shock when he got some shots in. After that, I used my reach. Right. I used the hand on the head method, to hold him back, which is pretty helpful. And then a lot of upside down over the shoulder.
Okay, good. So you put him in his place. Mario's got.
I don't think he wants to fight me again.
Yeah. They're gonna pull that trick.
No, he probably
easier.
does. He actually probably does.
He's just lifting weights right now, doing push-ups, thinking about getting his revenge. Yeah. He's just getting older. So am I. Round 2 is going to be easier.
Yeah. Great stuff. Love it.
What a good episode. We had fun.
It was a great episode.
We did. We had fun. Keep sending your questions to thegrowlerpodcast@gmail.com. And make sure if you haven't yet, go download Power Stacks. Get ready for all of their content. Get that in your feed. Leave them a good review. If you haven't left us a good review, do that. All those little things help a podcast grow, and we appreciate all of you.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll talk to you next time.